one is requested to take personal responsibility for keeping this competition at a high level of good sportsmanship. Now, for today's starting lineups. First, for the visiting Thunderbirds. Number 3, Daniel McClanahan. Number 5, Brian Apia. Number 10, Omar Ahmed. Number 13, Ryan Matthews. And number 31, Tyson Van Pelt. Coached by Michael Branagh. And now the starting lineup for your Fort Lee Bridgman. Number 10, Devin Jang. Number 11, Isaiah Stang. Number 12, Kamani Clark. Number 13, Isaiah Valdez. And number 31, Bev Ogadeki. Head coach, Adam Schrager. At this time, we ask you to please rise and remove your hats as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here inside East Gymnasium at Fort Lee High School. As today, it's a matchup across the divisional showdown in the Big North Conference between the visiting Thunderbirds of Mahwah High School, 1-1 on the season, taking on the Fort Lee Bridgmen, a perfect 2-0 to start off the brand new season and about to play their first home game of this brand new year. Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Long, joined alongside by Dimitri Nanis and Renee Manisic. So glad that you could join us for Fort Lee Bridgman boys basketball here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. These two sides met around this time a season ago on December 21st in 2021. Mahwah pulled out a late 50-45 win on the road here at Fort Lee, and Fort Lee trying to exact revenge here at home this season. Fort Lee will be in their home white. In the powder blue is Mahwah. And Ogadegbe wins the opening tip, and Fort Lee will start with possession on offense. Here's Bem Ogadegbe, averaging 7 points a game through the first 2 games of the season for Fort Lee. Handing it off to Kamani Clark. Clark giving it off to Devin Jang, the sharpshooter from the outside who scored 26 in the season opener. A nice find underneath to a wide open Kamani Clark, and it's a 2-0 lead for Fort Lee. Here's Mahwah, coached by Michael Branagh. Here's a 3 from distance. That's short off the front rim. Offensive rebound secured by the Thunderbirds. Fort Lee is coached by Adam Schrager in his 5th season at the helm. 42 wins, in charge of the Bridgman program. Runner across the lane, and that falls for Ryan Matthews, as Matthews will tie the score up at 2-2. Up top, it's Clark, given over to Ogadegbe. With the left-hand dribble, scoop and score off the glass for Bem Ogadegbe. Coming off a 6-point performance in the overtime victory last time out against Westwood. 4-2 lead for Fort Lee. They've scored on their first 2 possessions. Mahwah going hard to the rim, dispossessed, knocked out of bounds, last touch off of the Thunderbirds and out of bounds as Omar Ahmed was trying to take it to the glass for a tying layup. 4-2 lead for Fort Lee. 6:25 left to go here in the opening quarter of play. Thanks for joining us for the home opener for the Bridgemen. We're trying to start their season off with 3 consecutive victories. Coming around the paints, now dropping it off for Isaiah Stang. Up and under move. Perfect offense so far for the Bridgemen. 3 possessions on offense, 3 layups. Isaiah Stang getting his first bucket of the day. He comes off a 32-point barrage in the overtime win against Westwood. Look at this hounding defense by Adam Schrager's side. 6-2 lead for Fort Lee. Mahwah going up and under and draws the contact and will head to the line to shoot 2. That's Ryan Matthews, who has the lone made basket so far of this game for Mahwah. Ryan Matthews is a junior, averages 5 points per game, had 4 points, 4 rebounds, 4 steals in their last game against Dumont, and Matthews too strong in the first foul shot attempt. Mahwah won their opener of the season, 57-55 on the road against Cliffside Park, but lost their last time out against Dumont, 53-37 at home. Matthews misses a pair at the line. Here's transition 3. No good by Jang. Fouls his own miss. Stang now gets in a lot of contact. He gets fouled on his way up. And that should send the Fort Lee leading scorer to the line, shooting 2. As Isaiah Stang will stroke in the first foul shot. Averaging 23 points a game in his first 2 games of this season. The senior goes perfect, 2 for 2 at the line. He's got 4. Fort Lee with their largest lead up to 6, 8-2, as we come up on 5.5 minutes left to go here in the first quarter of play. And a bump foul there from well out near half court against Ogadegbe. For Ogadegbe, that'll be his second personal foul. Ogadegbe with 2 personal fouls. He's got both of the fouls in this game against Fort Lee. Coach Schrager electing to leave his senior guard in the game, playing with 2 fouls here early in the first quarter. Contorted shot by McClanahan, a little out of control. Here's Ogadegbe in the open floor. Getting tied up from behind, gets it out to Stang. Stang getting it down low, give and go, layup, no good. Foul attempt is also tied up as Isaiah Valdez missed the bunny on the near right side, fouled his own miss, and he drew the contact underneath for a holding foul against Mahwah. Now both teams with 2 fouls apiece, and that'll send the junior forward, Isaiah Valdez, to the line shooting. Are they going to say that's a foul on the floor? No, they're lining up right now. It is a foul on the floor instead of being at the line, so it's just going to be a simple foul on the floor. Second team foul against Mahwah. Here's Stang. Three-pointer, Isaiah Stang. He's off to a blistering start. 7 points in the first quarter, and Fort Lee in front, 11-2. A 9-0 run by the Bridgemen as Fort Lee has taken control here. Ogadegbe is subbed out of the game right now with the 2 fouls. There's a shot, offensive rebound to Van Pelt. He's the leading scorer for Mahwah. Number 31 in blue, averages 17 points a game. Another runner, this layup is short. Rebounded by Jose Lorenzo. Lorenzo getting the rebound, handing it off to Stang. Lorenzo open from deep, no good. Rebound out to McClanahan. Mahwah looking to push it up the floor as we reach the midway point of quarter number 1. It's going to be a foul whistled near the Mahwah bench, a pushing foul against Jang. For Devin Jang, that is his first foul, team's third here in the first half. Again, 4 minutes exactly remaining here in the first quarter. 11-2, the lead for Fort Lee here at home in their home opener. Ahmed off balance, dispossessed as he went up for the layup. Pushed out. Lorenzo gets run into. That's going to be a foul against Mahwah. Now 3 team fouls apiece for the Thunderbirds and the Bridgemen. Isaiah Stang was 7 of Fort Lee's 11 points as they lead by 9 in the early goings. 3:50 left to go here in the first quarter. As Stang, cross-court pass, ball movement gets into the corner. Lorenzo, extra pass underneath. Unselfish basketball right now by Fort Lee, looking for the open shooter in the corner, and that shot off the mark. Lorenzo was fading away. The junior was trying to knock down that corner jumper. This defense has been suffocating so far in the quarter for Fort Lee, but finally Tyson Van Pelt gets on the scoreboard. Found the cutter inside, and Van Pelt, the sophomore guard, coming off an 18-point performance in the loss against Dumont, gets his first made basket. 11-4 now, the Fort Lee lead. Kick out in the corner, now to the cutter, down low. Layup a little too strong inside by Clark. Rebound secured by Valdez, and a tie ball is going to be a possession arrow, giving possession back over to Mahwah with 3:05 left in the first. Mahwah a season ago went 22-8, went all the way to the North 1 Group 2 sectional final before losing to rival Ramsey 47-40. Van Pelt's transition jumper, no good. Stang comes back for the rebound. Stang pulls up, feeds a teammate on the near baseline, and that jump shot falls to the near side. Isaiah Valdez, his first made basket, and Fort Lee once again pushes their lead to 9, 13-4. 2:35 and counting left to go in the first quarter of play here at Fort Lee. Thanks for joining us, courtesy of the Fort Lee Athletic Department. Straight away, it's Matthews. Matthews opened up the scoring for Mahwah with the opening basket of the game. That made it 2-2. Since that point, it's been all Fort Lee. Up top, Ahmed looking for Matthews over to the near side. Van Pelt in the near side corner. And now it's going to be a whistle, and it looks like it's going to be a timeout taken and granted to Michael Branagh, the head coach for Mahwah, as his offense is being bottled up right now. 13-4, Fort Lee on top of the Thunderbirds here in the opening quarter of play. Fort Lee a season ago, fans, went 18-9, advanced to the first round of the North 1 Group 3 sectional playoffs. That was their most wins in a season dating back to 2013, which also happened to be the last time that Fort Lee won 13 games in a season. Coach Schrager lost a couple of key cogs on that team, but he does return 2 of his top shooters this year in Isaiah Stang and Devin Jang. Both have been electric in the beginning of this season. Stang averaging 23 points a game. Jang not that far behind, averaging 17 points per contest. And already in this game, Isaiah Stang has produced 7 of Fort Lee's 13 points. Devin Jang has yet to get on the scoreboard himself. Three team fouls apiece, 2:09 left to go here in the first quarter. It'll be possession from Mahwah out of their own timeout. Thunderbirds have won their last 4 meetings with Fort Lee. The last Fort Lee victory was a 59-58 win here at East Gym on January 24th, 2019. So inbound upcoming now for Mahwah. They get it over to Van Pelt. Step back jumper, no good. Rebounded inside, 2 hands secured by Valdez. As we come up on 2 minutes remaining here in the opening quarter. Fort Lee has looked great so far. Here's Devin Jang. A lot of dribbling for Jang. Kick out, here's a 3 ball. Off the back iron, Jang does get to the offensive glass. Another possession here on offense for Fort Lee, as Lorenzo missed that shot from deep. There's Jang, a deep 3. He hits all of the rim, but he doesn't get it to fall. Now Mahwah with the possession. 1:30 left to go here in the first quarter. McClanahan getting it over to Matthews. Matthews trying to look for the ball movement. Off ball by Mahwah. Fort Lee every step of the way with the Thunderbirds. Kick out to Van Pelt in the corner. Jang watching him. 1:14 left to go in the quarter. Matthews getting it to Van Pelt. Van Pelt with only 2 points so far in the game for Mahwah. The Thunderbirds only with 4 points in the quarter. Here's Matthews from 3. High arcer falls. As Ryan Matthews knocks down the first made 3 of the game from Mahwah, he's got 5 of the Thunderbirds' 7. And the lead is trimmed down to 6, 13-7. 48 seconds left to go as Isaiah Stang is fouled from behind as he made his cut past midcourt. 4th team foul against Mahwah. As that'll be the second personal foul against Daniel McClanahan. Team's 4th for Mahwah. Lorenzo dropping it down low. Open corner 3 ball. Overshot it. And Fort Lee's run cold a bit here, but it's going to be last touch off of Mahwah out of bounds. It's going to be possession here for Fort Lee with 37.9 seconds left to go in the first quarter. 13-7, Fort Lee on top. They've led by as many as 9 on a couple of occasions so far in the quarter. Stang. Lorenzo getting it back to Stang. Stang with 1-3 already in this game. Defense collapsing, now getting up top to Devin Jang. And now it's going to be a call, violation against Fort Lee. It's going to be 3 seconds in the lane. That turnover will give the ball back to Mahwah with 20 seconds left to go here in the first. Van Pelt, as they stack up a couple of players right atop the foul line that have not moved at all. It's just been 3 players running off the ball. Now 5 seconds left to go in the quarter. Matthews cuts across the lane, drops it up, hits off the rim, no good. Rebound into the hands of Devin Jang, and that'll end the first quarter of play. Fort Lee will lead Mahwah by a score of 13-7. Stick around as we'll be back for the start of the second quarter of play as you're watching all the action here on the Fort Lee YouTube channel. Welcome back, everybody, here inside East Gymnasium as Fort Lee on top of Mahwah by a score of 13-7. A couple of times in that quarter, Fort Lee led by as many as 9 points. Mahwah finally hit an outside shot after having an initial runner in the lane hit by Ryan Matthews. Matthews knocked down a 3. Defense has been at a premium so far here in the first half. As we get underway, the start of the second quarter. Dan Long, Dimitri Nanis, Renee Matisic, glad that he could join us. Here's a pull-up jumper, too long, but an offensive rebound inside. Fort Lee tries to push it back, but Franco Rosario misses on that follow-up attempt. So the well is run dry a little bit here for Fort Lee offensively. 7:35 left to go in the first half. Now Brian Appia. He tries the floater. And that is last touch out of bounds off of Rosario. As that goes out of bounds, will be possession staying here with Mahwah. 7:26 left to go in the second quarter of play. Mahwah will trigger the inbound. As they get it around, here's the corner 3 ball for McClanahan. No good. Offensive rebound out to Van Pelt. So the Thunderbirds starting to crash the offensive glass a bit. Stephen Lewis, who's just come into the game, number 2, getting it up top. Melvin Guevara Mercado also into the game for the first time for Mahwah, number 20 in powder blue. Hard to the lane, good contest, no call. Referees are letting them play. as Isaiah Stang will come down the other way. A bullet pass on the adjoining block. Down low for the layup by Franco Rosario. And Fort Lee extends their lead now to 15-7. A timeout taken by Mahwah with 6:49 left to go here in the second quarter of play. As Fort Lee doing their job on one end of the floor defensively and now offensively finding some transition bucket as Isaiah Stang with his head up all the way found a fellow senior in Franco Rosario lurking on the diagonal post for the easy lay-in to extend this lead for Fort Lee to 15-7. Fort Lee won their first two games on the road this season, including an overtime win last time out against Westwood, 54-48. They also took care of business on the road against Tenafly in their season opener on December 15th, 60-54. Trying to make it a 3-0 start to the season. This is their first home game of the season. Fort Lee will be enjoying the comforts of home as we approach the holiday season. They'll travel to Riverdale their next game on the 22nd and then be back home on the 23rd this Friday against Demarest before then hosting the Jack Riley Holiday Tournament right after Christmas. 6:40 and counting now left to go here in the first half. Here's a cutter across the lane. That's a clean block there by John Huang, the senior guard, number one, who's come in and provided a bit of a spark as well. A clean block as Mahwah was trying to go up for the layup. Pass up top. Again, Mahwah only on 7 points so far in this game. Fort Lee's defense has been sensational, and as soon as I say that, an easy cut and finish inside by Stephen Lewis off of the screen set by his teammate up top. 15-9. Fort Lee lead. Mahwah hanging around, though. This could be an even bigger deficit if Fort Lee didn't run cold themselves on offense, missing a couple of open jumpers. Where will the offense come from as now Bem Ogedegbe has come back into the game. Ogedegbe across the lane, hangs in the air, gets fouled in the act of shooting, and that'll send Ogedegbe to the foul line for repair. Ogedegbe has been the case in the past for him, has gotten into foul difficulty, was limited his playing time in the first quarter, and Coach Schrager trusting him right back onto the floor here. Ogedegbe too strong in the first foul shot attempt. Ogedegbe with 2 points in this game. Had 6 points in the last game against Westwood, 8 points in the opener against Tenafly. An explosive senior athlete here for Fort Lee. Ogedegbe short on the second foul shot as well. He's got to be careful. The hustle play gets him the ball back, leans into the contact and weathers the contact for the layup. Very close there to potentially being a foul against Ogedegbe after he was racing for that loose ball. But instead it was a clean procurement of the possession and then the layup. Ahmed's high arcer no good. Ogedegbe fighting for the possession, and now it's going to be a foul whistled over the back against Omar Ahmed. The senior forward will pick up the foul for Mahwah. And the Thunderbirds, now with 16 fouls in this game, one more foul would send Fort Lee to the foul line for the remainder of this first half, and there's still 5:37 remaining before halftime. Ogedegbe and Stang, along with Devin Jang in the corner. Clark and Rosario, the five in white on the floor for Coach Adam Schrager's Fort Lee Bridgman. Leading 17-9, 5:20 left to go in the second. Nice take across the lane, feeding inside. Clark a little out of control, kicks it back up top for Ogedegbe's triple. Bem Ogedegbe has scored the last 5 unanswered points for Fort Lee. He's up to 7 points in the half, and it's a 20-9 lead for the Bridgman. Largest lead of the game. Curling around into the corner, here's a long distance three, and a much needed answer for Mahwah as they knock it down as well. That was an answer by Brian Appia. Appia's first made 3 of the game. He averages 6 points per game this season for the Thunderbirds. Stang with a one-handed pass. Ogedegbe, another measured 3. And Ogedegbe is starting to heat up here, fans, as he has tickled the twine a bit here. He's up to 10 points in the half for Fort Lee. Off-balance runner across the lane by McClanahan. He does draw the contact, and that'll send Daniel McClanahan, the junior point guard, to the line to shoot two. And concern there for Coach Schrager, that is the third personal foul against Ogadegbe. So just as Ogadegbe was starting to get on fire in terms of their point total, Ogadegbe will have to sit probably for the remainder of this half, picking up personal foul number 3 in the game. McClanahan missing on the foul shot. Daniel McClanahan, 8 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists in their season-opening win against Cliffside Park. Almost a triple-double for the junior guard. McClanahan goes 1 of 2 at the foul line. He's got 1 point in this game, and it's now a 23-13 lead for Fort Lee. Coming up on the midway point of the second quarter, 4:15 and counting. Here's Isaiah Stang, scored all 7 of his points in this game back in the first quarter. On about a long-range 3. Fort Lee has started to get on fire from distance. Jang getting it over to Stang. Stang inside, getting it to Valdez. Cross-court pass. Now here's Devin Jang again. Tried a one-arm baseball pass, and Coach Schrager is not a happy camper with that miscue. That leads to a transition opportunity. Ahmed off balance, and a rebound snatched by Valdez. Mahwah playing in a 2-3 zone look right now. Stang nearly traveled with it, threw it over to the near side. 3:24 left to go in the second quarter. 10-point lead for Fort Lee, 23-13. Isaiah Stang, wide open man underneath, contorting the body, a lot of contact. Missed the initial layup. A follow-up also missed by Clark. Missed opportunity there. Clark was wide open underneath. Good positional defense, though, by Mahwah. Here's Appia on the near side corner. Again, drains the 3. Appia now with 6 quick points in this second quarter, and the lead is cut down to 7, 23-16 Fort Lee. As Appia now leading the charge with 6 points for Mahwah here in the first half. Lorenzo getting it over to Stang. Lorenzo in the near side corner. Now Stang again picking up his dribble, finding a man underneath. Reverse layup this time is good. As Kamani Clark making amends after missing the layup inside on the last offensive possession. That time the reverse layup is good. A timeout on the floor with 2:30 left to go here in quarter number 2. Fort Lee leads Mahwah by a score of 25-16 as you watch Fort Lee boys basketball action here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Mahwah taking on their 3rd straight Big North American Division opponent to begin their season. They'll start with 4 straight as their next game is going to be a home game against Ridgefield Park, so just the quirk of the schedule sees the Thunderbirds take on Fort Lee and their divisional opponents. Mahwah represents the Big North Patriot Division along with Indian Hills, Riverdale, Ramsey, Pascack Hills, and Westwood. Fort Lee will be taking on the Golden Hawks of Riverdale in their next time out, as they'll be traveling to Ordell on December 22nd to take on Riverdale before coming back home to take on Demarest and facing the Norsemen here on Friday night, or Friday afternoon, I should say, as that is now a 4 p.m. start time. Mahwah trails, and they'll inbound. They trail 25-16, 2.5 minutes left to go here in the first half. Trying to get Van Peltz going here. The sophomore who averages 17 points a game was trying a bullet pass underneath, and that time could not be handled by Brian Appia. Brian Appia's brother, Anthony, last season had an incredible performance in the win here on the road against Fort Lee. For Mahwah, Anthony Appia, 29 points, 14 rebounds. He did it all himself in that 50-45 Mahwah win on the road. Again, Fort Lee trying to patiently solve the zone defense, and there's a hack underneath as that's going to be a foul against Mahwah, and that was great ball movement there. Tic-tac-toe passing by Fort Lee, found a cutter on the baseline, and that's going to ascend Kamani Clark, the junior forward, to the line, shooting 2. Clark with 4 points so far here in the first half. Fort Lee not helping themselves out, though, here at the foul line. They've had a couple of misses. Clark missing a pair. That's 4 straight misses in this game at the foul line for Fort Lee. So the lead remains 25-16, under 2 minutes left to go in the half. As that is out of bounds, ricocheted off of the official on the near sideline, last touch off of the Thunderbirds, and it's going to be possession for the Bridgemen of Fort Lee. Looking for their first win against Mahwah since 2019. Stang draws the defense to him, kicks it out, long range 3, got it! Jose Lorenzo. Another 3-pointer knocked down by Fort Lee. That is their 4th made 3 of the half. 28-16, the lead grows to 12. Look at that on-ball defense by Isaiah Stang, shadowing his defender all the way. Pass to Appia, up top, Ahmed gets it stripped by Stang, but it goes out to McClanahan, off balance, a contest, and inside it's going to be a jump ball, and they're going to say possession arrow favors Mahwah, so it'll stay here with 1:14 left to go. Nothing coming easily right now for Mahwah in this first half offensively. They have produced a grand total of 16 points in the half. Van Pelt getting it up top to Matthews. Matthews with 5 in the game. Watched by Valdez. And off to Appia. Approaching 1 minute now remaining here in the second quarter. Van Pelt to the cutting Matthews off the arc. Here's Appia. Up top to Van Pelt. Van Pelt, no good. Rebounded by Isaiah Stang. Stang with a long-range bounce pass, and that was really not needed, as Coach Schrager says the exact same thing. He's trying to find Devin Jang down the floor, but that bounce pass off the mark. Turnover gives the ball back to Mahwah with 45 seconds and counting now left to go before halftime. Bridgemen have never trailed in this first half. Jumped out to an early 11-2 lead in the game. McClanahan. Up top to Appia. Appia, another long-range 3. That is the 3rd made 3 of the quarter for Brian Appia. He is single-handedly keeping his team within striking distance. It's a 28-19 lead now for Fort Lee. 15 seconds and counting left to go in the second quarter. Stang will hold on to it. One final possession of the half is going to go for Fort Lee. Stang with 6 on the clock. Stang's got to get going here. 4 seconds left. Pulls back for the jump shot. Off the mark to the far side. Try to tap it forward, but no offensive putback there for Fort Lee. So we head to halftime here at East Gymnasium, where Fort Lee will take a 28-19 advantage with them into the halftime locker room. Stick around, fans, as we'll be back for the start of the second half of play, as you're watching Fort Lee boys basketball here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Welcome back, everybody, inside East Gymnasium as we're moments away from the resumption of play in the start of the second half. Fort Lee leads Mahwah by a score of 28-19. Fort Lee has been in control throughout this one, but Mahwah has been doing just enough to stick around. Credit the play of Brian Appia in that second quarter. Number 5 in Carolina Blue knocked down 3 three-pointers on his own to have a game-high 9 points from Mahwah. He's the leading scorer for the Thunderbirds. Ryan Matthews has chipped in 5 points. Leading scorer on the season, Tyson Van Pelt, has been held to only 2 points, along with 2 points from Stephen Lewis and 1 point from Daniel McClanahan. Fort Lee on the other side being led by 10 points of Bem Ogadegbe in the first half. Isaiah Stang behind him with 7 points in the half. Kamani Clark chipped in 4 points down low. Jose Lorenzo with 3. Isaiah Valdez and Franco Rosario each with 2, and Devin Jang, the second leading scorer on the team, was held scoreless for that first half of play. Fort Lee led by 6 after 1, 13-7, and now leading by 9 as we get underway to the start of the third quarter. Fort Lee in their home white with the orange numerals outlined in black, while Mahwah, the roadside, will be in their Carolina Blues with the gray numerals outlined in white. Dan Long, Renee Matisich, Dimitri Nanis, glad that he could join us here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel for the 2022-23 home opener for the 2-0 Fort Lee Bridgman taking on the 1-1 Mahwah Thunderbirds. Ogadegbe has to be careful here. He's playing with 3 fouls in the game. Ogadegbe pulls up from deep with the foot on the line, knocks it down. They'll say it is a 3-point shot. 31-19. The lead now for Fort Lee as Ogadegbe once again knocks down a shot from distance. He's got 3 made threes in the game, and an immediate answer here on the other side of the floor by Tyson Van Pelt. Van Pelt only had 2 points in the first half. Now that gives him 5 in the game. Ogadegbe picks up the dribble, looking for an outlet, finds Stang across the middle of the lane. Stang with a pass underneath, curling around, hook shot, no good. Tipped out of bounds, last touch off of Mahwah. Kamani Clark has carved out position underneath. He's just not been able to consistently find that main basket so far in this game. They get it in on the inbound to Clark, now up top to Ogadegbe. Stang, floater across the lane. Hits all of the rim, and it rattles home. Isaiah Stang with his first made basket since the first quarter. He's got 9 in the game. 33-22 the lead now for Fort Lee. Across the lane. Tried a jump stop. Got tied up in the process. Mahwah still with possession. Now underneath. Shot a little too long there by McClanahan. Rebounded by Isaiah Stang. Stang. Power dribble across the lane, looks wide open on the block, missed inside. Appia got a contest there. Got a piece of the shot by Clark. McClanahan, reckless abandon, goes across the lane, misses it, but the offensive putback is good by Omar Ahmed. Mahwah trying to attack in transition when Fort Lee doesn't have their defense set up in the half court. Hustle play there by Ahmed, got the layup. 9-point lead for Fort Lee, 33-24. Here's Devin Jang. Jang inside the foul line, tries to scoot that pass over in space to Clark. Clark gets it over to Ogadegbe. Ogadegbe pulls it out, 5:50 left to go in the third quarter. Ogadegbe rocks and fires, airballs that. Clark gets stripped on his way up. Last touch by Van Pelt, out of bounds. Possession will stay here with Fort Lee on offense. 5:44 left to go in the quarter. 33-24 lead for the Bridgman. They led by 9 at the break, 28-19. Ogadegbe with the inbound. Gets it out into the corner now to Rosario. Rosario pulls up from 3, gets it! Franco Rosario, the senior forward, knocks down the 3-point shot. His first made 3 of the game. He's got 5. Fort Lee's lead once again back up to 12, 36-24. Ahmed. Long range 3 by Lewis, off the mark. That's a brick, but crashing the offensive glass yet again is Ahmed. And he gets fouled as he tries to put it back. And offensively, now the rebound starting to come from Mahwah as Fort Lee has to do a better job of finding a man and boxing out. as Omar Ahmed, the senior forward who averages 5.5 points per game, heads to the charity stripe and misses on his first foul shot attempt. Ahmed's second foul shot is also short. Stang with a rebound. Stang in the open floor, contorts the body, runner is no good. Van Pelt under his own rim, gets it out to Matthews. Good hustle play there to save it. Double team comes, and its last touch off of the Bridgeman. Possession will stay with Mahwah with 5:02 left to go here in the third quarter, as they'll have the inbound just over the midcourt stripe. Only one foul so far here in the third quarter between the two teams, as we've come up now on 3 minutes gone by. 12-point lead for Fort Lee, trying to go to 3-0 to start off the season. Up top to McClanahan. Held to only 1 point so far in this game. Now over to Guevara. Cutting across the middle of the lane, Van Pelt. Out to McClanahan. Good blanket defense here by Fort Lee on the baseline. Mahwah playing a game of hot potato right now. No one looking to shoot. And picking the pocket is Isaiah Stang for the easy two. The steal and the layup, Isaiah Stang now up to 11 points in the game. Largest lead of the game now, 38-24. And it's a turnover forced by Fort Lee. Possession back to the Bridgeman. With 4:18 left to go in the third quarter, Fort Lee leads 38-24. Stang getting it to the high post to Valdez. Now to Devin Jang. Jang still looking for his first points of the game. Double team comes to him. Deflected away and stolen away by Mahwah. That was Guevara Mercad who poked the ball away and saved it to his teammate Matthews. Van Pelt off the dribble. Kicks it out to Matthews. Matthews stripped away by Huang. Now here's Devin Jang in the open floor. He gets that blocked away as he couldn't get it cleanly. Good defense by both sides. 3:35 left to go. Transition three. Wide open man, no good. Isaiah Stang with the hard-nosed rebound. No one picking up number 11 in the open floor. Elbow jumper, no good. Crashing the offensive glass underneath was Valdez. And a push foul against Mahwah underneath as Rosario was hustling to the loose ball underneath the rim. First foul of the second half against Mahwah. 3:19 left to go. Foul is on the floor on the pass, as that foul will go against Melvin Guevara Mercad, his second personal foul of the game. Both teams with one foul apiece here in a well-played and fast-paced third quarter. Here's Stang drawing the double team to him. Lorenzo, jump stop across the lane, stripped on his way up. Possession kept alive though. Underneath, here's Stang, and it's going to be a blocking foul, and one. And Isaiah Stang, much like he did in the first quarter, coming alive here in the third quarter. He has scored 6 of his 13 in the third quarter, and now a chance at a three-point play to try to increase this 40-24 lead for Fort Lee. And he does just that. Foul shot is good. Isaiah Stang with a game-high 14. Foul was on Stephen Lewis, his first. Stang nearly got a piece of it. Could not hold on to it, so possession stays with Mahwah. Largest lead of the game, 41-24. The advantage for Fort Lee, trying to go to a 3-0 start on the season. And trying to exact revenge after dropping a nail-biter here at home against the Thunderbirds a season ago. Van Pelt, swarming defense yet again. Right in his back pocket, McClanahan dumping it down low and finding Appia to lay it in. Appia with a game-high 11 now for Mahwah. 41-26 lead for Fort Lee. 2:33 and counting left to go in the third. Stang, oh, he crosses over. Stripped on his way up. He thought he was fouled. Hustle play there by Fort Lee. Stang again trying to go to the rim, and he gets fouled in the act of shooting. Franco Rosario did a good job of cleaning up the missed shot inside, but Rosario was throwing it up at the rim as if he was expecting the clock to expire. He had plenty of time And now the foul is going to be charged against McClanahan, who shares a couple of words of frustration with the official. He picks up his third foul. Isaiah Stang, a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. He's up to 15 points in the game. 42-26 lead for Fort Lee. He remains perfect at the charity stripe. Give him 16. 43-26 lead for Fort Lee. 2:15 and counting left to go in the third quarter. Mahwah has been adept at staying close throughout this game, and now it's starting to pull away from them. They've got to do something here, down by 17 late in the third quarter. 2:08 remaining in the third. As that's going to be a foul against John Huang. His first personal foul. Only the second team foul against the Bridgemen here in the third quarter, I should say. Here's Appia, watched by Stang. Two leading scorers for both sides here today. Appia with a crossover. Now here's Matthews. Up top to Appia. Appia, who knocked down 3 threes in the second quarter. No good on that attempt here in the third. Under 2 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Stang rocks and fires, missing that one. This time crashing the offensive glass is Clark. It's a tie-up on the floor. Possession arrow will favor Mahwah. So possession will go over to the Thunderbirds, or will they call a timeout? It looks like right now it's going to be a timeout granted to Adam Schrager, so that'll actually save possession for the Bridgemen. So it'll be Fort Lee possession. 1:42 left to go here in the third quarter. 43-26 lead for Fort Lee as we head to the timeout here in the third quarter of play. Fort Lee being led in this third quarter by Isaiah Stang. Stang has scored 9 of his 16 points in the game in this third quarter alone, and have extended their lead, which was 9 at halftime, now up to 17, 43-26. Home opener for Fort Lee here today against Mahwah. They'll head to the road in their next time out against Riverdale on December 22nd before coming back home later on this week on Friday to take on Demarest in an afternoon contest that you'll be able to see here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. So out of the timeout, Stang will inbound it up top to Valdez. Now to Isaiah Stang on the near baseline, cuts around the defense, kicks it out. Here's Lorenzo for 3. Jose Lorenzo, his second made triple of the game off the assist by Isaiah Stang. Largest lead of the ball game now for Fort Lee. It's 20, 46-26 with 1:20 and counting left to go in the third quarter. Lewis off the dribble. Appia to the right side. Drops it off. McClanahan contorts the body, draws the contact, and Daniel McClanahan will earn a chance at the foul line to shoot 2. A blocking foul against Fort Lee that time, as the foul will be whistled against Isaiah Stang. For Stang, that is his first personal foul, team's third. So both teams with 3 fouls apiece here in the third quarter. And McClanahan having a tough night at the office in the foul line. He's now 1 of 3 at the charity stripe, as he gets serenaded by the Fort Lee student section assembled in that position of the gym. Second foul shot also no good. Tipped out into the hands of Clark. As we come up in the final minute of the third quarter, here's Isaiah Stang trying to drop it off underneath to Kamani Clark. And that's going to be last touch off of Clark. And writhing in pain at the tail end of the play is Isaiah Stang. He's the leading scorer for this Fort Lee side, averaging 23 points a game through the first 2 games of the season. And the senior gets a round of applause, as he was a little slow to get to his feet. We'll see if Coach Schrager will elect to take him off the floor for the time being. Might have been just a case of rolling his ankle, as Stang looks to be tightening up his shoelace. That'll make sense for Coach Schrager to have Isaiah come off the floor. He'll be attended to by the trainer for Fort Lee and Tom Herr. With 1 minute remaining in the third quarter, 46-26, the lead for Fort Lee on Mahwah. Matthews getting it up top. Amat Singh into the game for the first time, number 32, jumper left short. Offensive rebound, though. McClanahan, nice feet underneath. What a block, though, underneath, and then the second shot falls for Van Pelt. Van Pelt up to 7 points in the game for Mahwah. 18-point lead. Across the middle of the floor, left in the midst of the trees, out top to Valdez. Now Cesar LaFontaine into the game for the first time for Fort Lee. Runner off balance. Clark gets it stripped away by Singh. 17 seconds left to go in the third quarter. Mahwah in transition. Jump stop. Stolen away by Lorenzo. Lorenzo in the open floor. He gets his pocket picked by Matthews. 5 seconds left to go in the quarter. Matthews coast to coast, lays it up and in. Count it. A blocking foul against Fort Lee. And with 1.3 seconds left to go, Ryan Matthews has a chance at a three-point play and a chance to pull Mahwah back to within 15. Little helter-skelter play here in the last couple of possessions after Stang left the game with the injury. That foul whistled against Isaiah Valdez, his first, team's fourth for Fort Lee. Foul shot is no good. Valdez with a rebound, fires that one down the length of the floor, and that'll end our third quarter of play. And after 3 quarters, Fort Lee will lead by 16 as they head to the fourth quarter here at East Gymnasium. It's Bridgman basketball on Fort Lee's YouTube channel. Fort Lee on top by a score of 46-30 as we head to the start of the fourth quarter. Isaiah Stang has gone to the locker room and to the training room, maybe to get taped up here. It looked like he might have rolled an ankle just before the end of the third quarter. Isaiah Stang leads the offense for Fort Lee tonight with 16 points. Right behind him, Bem Ogadegbe with 13. Fort Lee held Mahwah to only 11 points in that quarter, and a lot of which came near the end of that quarter in the last 2 possessions. Do the Thunderbirds have a comeback in them? They're down by 16. They got to get this guy going. Van Pelt try to curl around a couple of defenders. Fort Lee playing great man-to-man defense in this game. Appia comes off the screen and leaves it short with the air ball. Ogadegbe secures the loose ball rebound. 46-30, 30 seconds into the start of the fourth quarter. Dan Long, Renee Matisic, Dimitri Nanis here on our Fort Lee Athletics broadcast. We'll be your broadcast home for all the home sporting events this entire winter's sports season. Devin Jang leaving it back to Ogadegbe. Spinning around the lane, leaves it up. What a move there by Ogadegbe. Put his defender in the spin cycle and then laid it up and in. 15 points for Bem. 48-30, lead back to 18 for the Bridgmen. McClanahan, reach-in foul against Fort Lee. That'll be the 5th team foul against the Bridgmen. They'll have one more foul to give. As that's a great sign. Isaiah Stang is getting back into the game. So he's gotten taped up. He's back into the fold with 6:53 left to go and an 18-point lead for Fort Lee. Appia getting it over into the corner to Van Pelt. Back up top to Appia. Appia 11 points in the game, leading the offense here for Mahwah here on the road. McClanahan spun around. Now back up top to Matthews. Clark watching McClanahan. Appia. Up top to Van Pelt. Long sustained possession here in offense for Mahwah. Fort Lee not giving an inch defensively. They've been sound. McClanahan. Three-point line extended, finding Appio, left it short on the near right side. Stang comes in to wrestle away the rebound. Great defense there by Ogadegbe. Turnover force. Ogadegbe will reach in on the foul, and that'll be the fourth personal foul, I should say, against Bem. And that wasn't really his fault there. That was a miscue by a teammate, and Ogadegbe tried to get the ball back, and in doing so, committed the foul. Right now, they say it's the 5th personal foul. So I missed it. I thought it was going to be the 4th personal foul instead. Right now, that is the 5th personal foul, and Bem Ogadegbe is fouled out of this ball game. And Ogadegbe, 15 points on the night. So Ogadegbe will have to sit out for the remainder of this game. Still with 6 minutes left to go in regulation. McClanahan, extra pass, corner 3, short. Appia with the offensive board. Now Van Pelt being watched by Valdez. McClanahan off balance again. He's been forcing a lot of shots inside and has not been getting the recipient and being the recipient of any foul calls. John Huang lost the possession off his left hand out of bounds right in front of us on the near baseline. 5:27 left to go in regulation. 48-30, the lead for Fort Lee. They've led by as many as 20 in this game, 5:25 and counting left to go in the fourth quarter. Fort Lee trying to win their first home game of the new season. Mahwah trying to bounce back after a loss at home their last time out against Dumont. They opened up their season with a win on the road, a 2-point win against Cliffside Park. That shot rattled in and out, deflected out to Devin Jang. Fort Lee's doing all of this without their second leading scorer on the season scoring a single point in this game. Devin Jang, a goose egg right now. Hand off to Valdez. Valdez, hard take, stripped, but they're going to say a last touch off of McClanahan. It'll be possession staying here with Fort Lee. 48-30, still the lead, 18-point margin. 4:48 left to go here in the fourth quarter. Fort Lee, a season ago, claimed the Big North American Division League title, going a perfect 8-0, their first league title since 2013. They also picked up a win in the Bergen Jamboree. Trying to build off a historic season a season ago and trying to start off this brand new campaign 3-0. One 1-3-1 zone look now on defense for Mahwah. Double team comes to Stang. Gets it over to Valdez. Nearly got it stolen away. Valdez into the corner. Fort Lee just playing a little keep away right now. Stang across the lane. Contorts the body but left it short to the right side. Ahmed with a rebound. Pushes it out to Matthews. Matthews down the floor to Appia. Great recovery defense by Adam Schrager's Bridgman. Mahwah not able to even attack when they briefly had the numbers advantage. Van Pelt's 3-ball. No good. Rebounded by Valdez. And Stang will have possession. A timeout will be granted to Schrager and Fort Lee, and it's 3:54 left to go in regulation. And Adam Schrager's Bridgman looking like they're zeroing in on their third win of the season, leading Mahwah by a score of 48-30. The road ahead again for both teams. For Mahwah, upcoming is going to be a game at home against Ridgefield Park on December 22nd. Then they will host Demarest on December 27th. And then in the new year, we'll also host Westwood on January 3rd. For Fort Lee, they will travel to Riverdale to take on the Golden Hawks on December 22nd before hosting Demarest on December 23rd. And then they will be hosting the 2022 Jack Riley Holiday Tournament here at East Gymnasium. And they'll be taking on Passaic here on December 27th in that first round of the tournament. Tournament will be held on December 27th, 28th, and 30th. And will feature the likes of Riverdale, Bergenfield, Memorial High School, Passaic, just to name a few, as we'll be broadcasting that entire tournament, all 12 games of the tournament, here on this Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. And that's going to be a turnover against Fort Lee. They were running on the baseline out of the timeout. So that's going to be a mental miscue there against the Bridgemen, giving the possession back over to Mahwah without any time coming off the clock. Could only run on the baseline after a made basket by the opponent. Now Fort Lee, again, with their dogged defense doing the dirty work for them here today. Mahwah has been struggling to produce. They have not yet scored in this fourth quarter. Appia still can't break that scoreless drought, as we're coming up on 3.5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. And it's a 48-30 lead for the Bridgemen. Cross-court pass. Nearly hit a couple of patrons right behind the scores table, as that's going to be another turnover against Fort Lee. And Coach Schrager giving a death stare to one of his players after, again, another turnover. Fort Lee has only scored 2 points in this fourth quarter, but Mahwah has not scored yet, and we're coming up on 5 minutes into the quarter. We have a pitching duel going on here in the fourth. Around the perimeter it goes to Matthews. Van Peltz from deep. High arcing shot, no good. Appia goes up for the offensive rebound, missed on the short attempt, and then follows up his miss with another putback. And Brian Appia now with 13 points in the game. First points of the quarter for Mahwah. 16-point lead. Stang gets his pocket picked from behind. Another turnover. In the open floor, Ahmed missing the layup. Offensive putback by Appia, also miss. And finally, a rebound on the defensive end of the floor by Isaiah Valdez. 2.5 minutes left to go in the game. Hard contested shot on the near side. And then an ensuing frustration foul against Jose Lorenzo reaching in. And that's going to be the 7th-team foul against the Bridgemen, which will stop the clock and will send Mahwah to the foul line, shooting 1-1 with 2:26 left to go here in the fourth quarter, and a 16-point lead for Fort Lee. Lorenzo getting called for the reach-in foul, the junior's first foul of the game, 7th-team foul. So Appia to the line, shooting 1-1. Appia too strong, and a big-bodied rebound underneath by Valdez. Mahwah has not helped themselves out at the foul line. 8 missed foul shots in the game, and now a timeout by Adam Schrager, as he is not happy at how his team is not running the offensive sets he's looking for with 2:10 remaining in regulation. 48-32, the lead for Fort Lee. Today it's been the story of the two dynamic senior guards, Isaiah Stang with 16, Bem Ogedegbe with 15. The two leading scorers for Fort Lee as they look to get to a 3-0 start on the season. Been a fun crowd assembled here for this 4 p.m. start time, 4:15 officially. It'll be another 4:15 start time in our next home broadcast, as Fort Lee is going to be taking on Demarest on the 23rd. A reminder that our next Fort Lee broadcast overall is going to be on December 22nd, as the Fort Lee girls basketball team will welcome in the Bengals of Bloomfield High School on Thursday. That's December 22nd, a 4:15 start time, as you can watch all the action here live and on demand for free on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. So with the inbounds now to Devin Jang, double team comes to Jang. Into the corner he goes, as we're coming up on 2 minutes left to go in regulation. Only 4 combined points through the first 6 minutes of play here in the fourth quarter between these two teams. Rosario getting it back up top to Isaiah Stang, leading scorer in this game with 16. Tweaked his ankle, though, near the end of the third quarter. Has not scored since that third quarter. Here's Stang across the lane. Left-hand layup is good. Stang looking no worse for wear after that injury late in the third. He's got 18. Again, coming off a 32-point performance in the win in overtime against Westwood last time out. Missed jump shot by Van Pelt. Rebound secured by Rosario. Franco Rosario getting that one. 18-point lead with just over a minute left to go, and a foul reaching against McClanahan, it looks like, and Mahwah. That'll stop the clock. McClanahan will pick up his 4th personal foul. His 4th, team's 4th. 1:09 left to go in the 4th quarter of play. Isaiah Stang, another big performance to start off this brand new season, showing off why he's got to be considered one of the better players in northern New Jersey. And it looks like it's going to be another timeout taken by Fort Lee's head coach Adam Schrager as he saw his man getting close to turning it over right in front of that far side corner. This season, Fort Lee will be competing in the North 2 Group 3 section, so a little different from last year's very competitive and challenging North 1 Group 3 sectional. Fort Lee has never trailed in this game. Jumped out to an early 9-point lead in the first quarter, have not looked back since. They've led by as many as 20 points in the second half. Currently, they reside at an 18-point advantage. With under a minute now left to go in regulation, 59.3 seconds left. Stang, Valdez, Rosario, Lorenzo, and Chang, the 5 on the floor for Coach Schrager. Double team coming to Isaiah Stang in front of his own bench. Throws it across the floor to Rosario. Rosario across the lane, high off the glass, rattled halfway down, follows his own miss, throws it up at the rim. Deflected last touch out of bounds off of Mahwah. These officials have been consistent in letting both teams play with a lot of contact in this game. 43.2 seconds left to go. Inbound will be for Fort Lee. Valdez will trigger the restart. Inbounding inside. Turnaround, up top, straight away, 3. Another 3-ball. Jose Lorenzo, his 3rd 3 of the game. He's got 9. Largest lead of the game now, 21. 53-32, 27 seconds left in regulation. Mahwah about to fall to 1-2 on the season. Back-to-back losses against big North American Division opponents. They'll try their luck against Ridgefield Park their next time out. Matthews doesn't draw iron. That caroms out of bounds. That'll be possession and an inbounds upcoming for Fort Lee. And Coach Branagh telling his troops to fall back, don't press, and just allow Fort Lee to run out the remaining 9 seconds of this ball game. 53-32 is going to be your final score, and Fort Lee will be successful in their home opener here, exacting revenge after a 5-point loss here at home a season ago against Mahwah. They pick up the win, 53-32 here today, and remain unbeaten on the season, as they will go to 3-0 on the year, and Mahwah will fall to 1-2. Again, Mahwah next time out, they'll be hosting Ridgefield Park on December 22nd, while Fort Lee will travel to Riverdale in a tough opponent and a tough test for the Bridgemen. Their next time out, next Fort Lee home basketball game for the boys' side. You'll be able to see it here on Friday night, December 23rd, a 4 p.m. start time in this afternoon affair, as they'll be taking on the Norsemen of Demarest. So for Dimitri Nanis and Renee Matisich, I'm Dan Long saying so long, and thanks for tuning in here on the Fort Lee YouTube channel. Take care, everybody.